Oh boy, I don't even know if I'm going out to anybody. Of course you're not going out to anybody. But it doesn't. This is what happens. This is what happens when I'm just going out to YouTube, and I'm gonna. I'm looking at things now, trying to add channels here. Well, all right. Oh, there they are. Okay, so now I'm out there. Hi everyone, it's Emil Guillermo. As you can see, I'm in my closet. I'm actually in a closet when I talk to you guys. And now we got the wide view. I switched to a different. Now you don't get the wide. So you get my t-shirt, my Vegan Power t-shirt, my gong. Now my camera was not, or my computer was acting up, so I'm doing it from my pad, in my pad. And there's a lot to talk about today, actually. You know, the New York City thing. New York is freaking out. The capitalists in New York are freaking out. And you know that the New York Post, if you can find a New York Post, I mean, if you're in the Lower East Side, you can't find a Post. If you're up in the Upper West Side, Upper East Side, you can maybe find a New York Post. But NYC SOS, people are freaking out. Axios is reporting right now that people are freaking out about the win from Zoran Mamdani. Look, my name is Emil Guillermo. I've been correcting people all my life. And now here's a Zoran Mamdani, and people have to get used to saying that name because he's a player in democratic politics. He came out of nowhere, literally, over the last few months. No one wanted to be, no one really qualified wanted to be mayor of New York. I mean, Andrew Cuomo, my goodness, that viral answer when Cuomo went after Mamdani. Oh my God. Okay, forgive me, Mr. Mamdani. I laughed at some other folks because they had a hard time with your name. But look, like I said, my name is Emil Guillermo. I know how tough it is. But here's the point about Mamdani. He represents the new America. First Muslim, mayor of New York. People are freaking out. They call him a socialist, but democratic socialist. But all of a sudden, all those fears come out. The same kind of fears they had about Bernie Sanders, but he's essentially a Bernie Sanders type democratic socialist. And what you gotta like about Mamdani is that I'm gonna get used to saying his name. He's gonna be mayor. Well, he's got a race on his hands. I mean, he won the ranked choice voting. I have something to say about that in a second. But Mamdani, every time I go to New York, number one, too expensive. Number two, is it safe? I'm a visitor. So every time I go to New York, I act like I live there. I don't really act like a visitor, but I know how a visitor feels. Because ultimately, what they do if you visit New York is they get you on the hotel tax, they tax the people who visit, and you pay. So visiting New York, you know how expensive New York is, and you know, I mean, in my special case, as an artist visiting New York, you get it both ways. You know what it's like to be there as a resident, you know what it's like to be there as a visitor, and you're paying for everybody, because that's who they tax. Hotel taxes, visitor tax, essentially. They tax the people who don't vote there. So I felt for what happened in New York. I know what it's like to be in New York. And the two issues, affordability and safety. Is New York affordable? Can you live there? Is New York safe? Sometimes I didn't feel so safe in New York. I was in New York. Remember the big earthquake? I was there for the New York earthquake a couple years ago. And you know that's in the minds of people, because I don't hang out. I mean, every now and then I'll hang out with some people who have some money, and they don't share it with me, but they let me into their enclaves and I get to say hi. But the rest of us, walking, taking buses, taking subways, counting our pennies to stay in New York. I mean, even at my advanced age, right? I'm not a crazy rich Asian, I'm a crazy poor one, okay? So those were two issues that really matter to New Yorkers. And I'm talking about New Yorkers who live there, but then had to move out to Brooklyn, had to move out to Queens, people who didn't start off in Manhattan, but started out in Queens and Brooklyn and are being further priced out to go to the fringe parts of those areas because it's too damn expensive. So you got to hand it to Mom Donnie. He used those issues, owned them, and told people, hey, I'm going to try to help out with rent. I'm going to try to help out with food. I'm going to try to help out with daycare. Hey, people in New York, they don't own cars, right? So free transit. I'm going to help out with transit. That makes a difference. And so it didn't surprise me when I saw him just really make a difference throughout all the boroughs. Now, ranked choice voting. He's not the winner yet. He won this first phase of the Democratic primary. Ranked choice voting is complicated, but he won by enough votes so that Andrew Cuomo just gave in, said, look, I concede. Maybe he conceded too soon. And here's why I say this. It all depends on how Cuomo campaigned. Did he build coalitions with other people? Because in ranked choice voting, and I know this because this happened in Oakland, California, Cheng Tao, who was a councilwoman in Oakland, she's now into some kind of trouble. There's a scandal. She was ousted, recalled from Oakland under investigation. She's in a bit of trouble. She's no longer in office. But she was neck and neck with an establishment newcomer to Oakland politics for the mayor. And the key difference went down to one of the middle rounds, like the 7th or 8th round, when a candidate, see the way it works is they take the top 2 votes. And then if there's multiple candidates, they take the next candidate and put them up at the next, the top 2. And all right, they're going to eliminate that third candidate because the top 2 are the top 2. And then they go with that third candidate's second place votes. Who gets that third candidate's second place votes? And they give it to the remaining candidates. Now, if the third place vote getter did not, if the ballots weren't, the second place voters on those ballots weren't for the top 2, they don't get any. But this is what, and then they keep going, they eliminate the third, they bring up another one from the pile, another candidate, and they put it against the top 2, and then they get that third candidate's number 2 vote if it has their name on it. So this is what happened in Oakland with Cheng Tao. They went down to like the 6th, 7th, 8th round, and more of those voters who didn't have a chance of winning, they voted for Cheng Tao. And one round, she got 8,000 votes. And that's what put her over the top against the other, it was like the 2 leading candidates, Cheng Tao and the other guy, I think it was Lauren Taylor. When she got that 8,000 votes, they put her ahead, and she won the mayor's race in Oakland. That's how she did it. So I don't know. There's a long list of candidates in New York, and it may or may not matter. But the key thing is how the candidates campaign. And if the candidates campaigned with another candidate and said, look, you can vote for Mr. Smith here, but vote me for number 2. I'll get your number 2 votes. That's the smart way. It's a new way of campaigning. And I don't know if anyone really campaigned that way. Now, when you campaign that way, you build coalitions. You go out with buddy, you go out as a buddy team. Yeah, we're competitors, but you know what? We'll share each other's number 2 votes. And maybe you are legitimate. You have legitimate, agreements. You have legitimate reasons to like both candidates. So you don't mind the compromise that, okay, I'm really voting for my number 1 candidate, but you could be number 2. If you do that with everyone down the line, you see how it changes campaigns. You can't go out and attack people in the same way. You just can't be antagonistic. You can't polarize. It essentially forces you to build coalitions, which is not a bad thing. Coalitions, and then get this. The whole idea is you build a majority. The top 2 are the top 2 candidates are there because they didn't get a majority. As soon as someone gets a majority, then it's over. It might be the 3rd round, the 4th round, the 5th round, and so forth and so on. But that's how ranked choice voting works. Some people like it. It saves money. My criticism is that, hey, if it's down to 2 candidates, it should be head to head, and the voters get their chance to vote between 2 people. That should be it. It shouldn't be, this sort of gimmicky way where, okay, here's the top 2, and then they go through the pile of the also-rans, and then see if anyone was in the top 2 were the second place vote on any of the also-rans. Now, Cuomo, if I recall, is like 7% back. He may not have a chance, but I don't know. I didn't really follow the campaign until the last few days. And I thought the last few days it was fairly obvious that there was no taste in New York for Cuomo. It's funny, in 1991, when I worked talk radio in Boston, where was I? Washington, D.C. And Mario Cuomo, Big Daddy Cuomo, they wanted him to run for president. And Democrats had this love affair for Mario Cuomo. And I said, oh, the Democrats, they're all Cuomo-sexuals. Now, subsequent to that, look, I said it in 1991. Since then, I'm sure someone thought of it, oh, Cuomo-sexual. Last night in New York, there are a few Cuomo-sexuals. Just weren't. But like I said, I wouldn't necessarily give up if I were Cuomo, because who knows? Maybe it depends on if he campaigned with that number 2 vote in mind. That's how ranked choice voting works. So I go back and forth with this. I don't like ranked choice voting because I think it should be it should be one-on-one, and people should see a side-by-side comparison between between candidate A and candidate B, and they should make their vote. But some people say, look, if you got multiple candidates, this is easiest. You don't need multiple runoffs. You save money. Okay, all right, I get it. Save money. Save money. And that's the key word. You save money, but what is it that you're saving? I heard someone say today that compared to Cuomo, who spent millions, he spent a lot of money. I don't know. It sounded like a maybe 4 or 5 to 1 difference in what Cuomo spent and what Mom Donnie spent. And Mom Donnie was mostly social media, mostly free media. right? He was viral. People liked him. That's the way it should be. Cuomo, hey. And money can be beaten by ranked choice voting. And when that is the ultimate thing, then I'm with you. Then ranked choice voting. I think, it builds coalitions, you get the majority, and you defeat the impact of big money. Because now, you wait, if this becomes a thing and everyone goes ranked choice voting, you're going to see a lot of people out there try to game this. And, how do you game it? You game it by buddying up, putting out other candidates, multiple candidates, going out together to campaign. I'm your number two. That's what I don't get. It's not I'm your number one, it's I'm your number two. And number two has never been really good. In the regular 1-2 metaphor that we all know. Number one, number two. But number two could win. If I'm your number two, it's good. Anyway, so this could be a good thing. It could be a good thing to bring up people who don't get a shot. One thing about Tsingtao in Oakland, hey, it was an African-American man, and Tsingtao, among Americans, she was the first among Americans to win a mayor's race, I think. And this is how you get unrepresented minorities or underrepresented minorities into politics. In this case, you got a Muslim. It's great, right? So I don't want to diss it too much, our ranked choice voting. And I don't even know if Mamdani really needed. Well, he didn't get 50%, so they're going to go to the second round. What I don't get is why they're waiting until next week to decide how the ranked choice voting, worked. Because usually it's instantaneous because it's on your ballot. You mark, first or second for all the 11, candidates. It should be fairly quick. But so that kind of stunned, surprised me a bit. But I think it's good that Mamdani is in, at least for the Democrats. Now the fight begins because he'll face the regular election and he'll have independents like Eric Adams, legally compromised. He'll have maybe Cuomo again. He'll have a Republican. Not much chance in New York. I don't know. They'll have independents, and then Mamdani. Who knows if he has to appeal citywide? Will he have the same kind of effect? But people are excited now. People are excited now because they can taste it, and maybe this is the momentum he needs. He's young. He's just 33. I remember when I was 33. I remember when people were looking at me for top positions, and they were saying, "Oh, young dynamite. He can be anything." And so, congratulations to Mamdani today, Zoran, congratulations. And if it's ranked choice voting in the big election too, we'll see the kind of coalitions that get built in New York City between Latinos, between African Americans, between Asians. That's exciting. That's an exciting thing. And like I said, the losers are going to be all those who aren't nimble and quick and can deliver. And if you have a track record like Cuomo, it doesn't help. If you're young and fresh and new and energetic, that can make the difference. That can make all the difference. So, congrats to Zoran. Mamdani. Mom Donnie. Oh my God. Mom Donnie. Sorry. Like I said, I should be sensitive. Emil Guillermo should be sensitive. People correct me and say, oh, Guillermo. No, I correct them. No, Filipino, Guillermo. Okay, all right. But it's his day today. Zoran, congratulations. Really, congratulations. Because I'm not in my, I don't have access to the same equipment. I don't have my Swisher. You know, my Swisher that, I can't even play my Swisher on this other machine. Anyway, I got to talk about Trump and NATO. Man, Trump is hung up on this term obliteration. We totally obliterated Iran. No, just their nuclear capability. Oh, it's not 3 months, it's not 4 months. We totally obliterated it. He insists. But he went to NATO and he came out smiling because he got more people to kick money in, the bucket. That was his big thing. We're not going to pay for everything. Everyone's cheap. In Trump mind, Trump world, everyone's cheapskate. Right? So do we like that? It caused a lot of heartache and pain. But he got more money out of countries to kick into NATO. That's one thing that happened today. But the other thing is, I think Trump is beginning to understand what he's doing, and the world is beginning to understand what he's doing. What he's doing is getting us used to a world where you got to nuke up. You got to nuke up in this world. And I think that's kind of the unintentional thing that comes out of the the sucker punch to Iran on Saturday night, and then we're waiting for Iran to strike back. They haven't, but maybe they don't want to strike back. We don't know where all the uranium, the enriched uranium is, the 900 pounds or so of it. They still have some capability. It might be months. It might be, it might have knocked off a couple of years. Whatever, it wasn't eliminated. Donald Trump is happy to accept that because he knows that in 2018 he walked away from the big deal. The big deal, which was they had a negotiated agreement with Iran. And then Trump walked away. So he knows that, he's really grasping for something. And he's really boasting when he shouldn't be boasting, but that's Trump's way. But I was thinking that the message he's sending to our allies, the message he's sending to the world is, Trump is getting people to realize that you weren't nothing without a nuke. You need a nuke. And I know that's not because Trump goes in to take out the nukes in Iran, and everyone just assumes that Iran can't have a nuke. Iran can't have a nuke. That's because everyone is tilting Israel. Everyone's tilting, existential crisis if Iran has a nuke. That's what Israel says. And that's what everyone buys. But the truth is, everyone wants a nuke so they don't get big-footed. Case in point, Ukraine. Look at Ukraine. They gave up their nukes, and now they're getting big-footed by Russia, and the United States is there to help, and then not, and then there, and then not, and then they're with Putin. And what kind of world is that? And you'll recall, if you follow my columns on Inquirer.net, I wrote about the Philippines, and I said, maybe it's time for the Philippines to nuke up. Do they rely on Russia, China, U.S.? China? Oh, we rely on the U.S., and U.S. likes our bases, and maybe. But would we have more power if we had some kind of nuclear capability? I say we. But I'm saying countries are going to say that. I want to be part of the nuclear club. And with Donald Trump, by being strongman, authoritarian, he just wants to be part of that club. He doesn't want people to be part of the nuclear club. But in his actions in Iran, he's showing people that if you don't have a nuke, you don't have a dog in the fight. Who are you going to depend on? Notice at NATO, they did not talk to Ukraine about a ceasefire. And because of that, one of the diplomats who nominated Trump for a Nobel Peace Prize, imagine that, withdrew the offer. So that's out. I'm just saying, it makes you think about what is going to be the outcome out of all this week, ultimately. If Trump wants to make you forget like it never happened, right? I mean, he's going to meet with Iran. Apparently, that was the latest I heard. But he'd really rather that no one really cared and no one really thought about it because he doesn't know and he doesn't want the pressure. But I think Iran isn't going to give up. And I think this whole thing made people realize that, hey, what if Iran really did have a weapon? Would they use it responsibly like everyone else? Who has, because all a weapon means is you can come to the table. You've got the wherewithal to play with the big boys. If not, you're like Ukraine, which gave up their capability, and there's some people there that regret it. Now, I'm surprised I'm talking this way because I'm one of those, green, no nukes. I have friends who are nuclear engineers. I was never really a big fan for the commercial uses of nukes. Slowly we come around because, it's fairly clean, nuclear energy, but nuclear energy in a disaster is forever. Well, Ukraine knows that. But I think now, if Trump is setting the standard for the world, I think there's some people rethinking this idea. Hey, we might need a nuke just to deal with this guy Trump. It may be helpful to get a nuke. And of course, it turns everything into a nuke world. Is that what we want? Got to think about this. But, elections have consequences, and this is what happens. Donald Trump gets the opportunity to remake the United States and remake the world, and we have to live with its consequences for generations. And then we see the undoing of things like affirmative action and like trans rights. We see what's happening. I mean, if you look, I was listening to a great podcast on New York Times. They're talking about how this all started about 2018, 2019, the anti-trans movement, when people from within the centers that were helping trans kids spoke up and said, hey, it wasn't the parents, it wasn't the family. It was people inside the centers. And they were doubting the science, doubting what was being said publicly, doubting the medical staff. Some of these people were just in there working. They're advocates. And then suddenly they saw the light. And one who is she's married to a trans woman, or trans man, excuse me. And she herself she self-identifies as queer. They're raising 5 children. She was the main whistleblower, if you will, in Missouri. And of course, they're really, really red in Missouri. I lived in Missouri for a couple of years. I didn't know how I could stand it, but I did, because you find people who you like, and then you're in that great middle where everyone's part of that same pot and you're in the middle, and there's no extremes except for that extreme conservative side. But it's funny that it was the WashU Clinic in St. Louis for transgender rights, or transgender, it was a transgender center where you can come and you can get the hormone shots and the blockers and all that. And a person working there who identifies queer, married to a trans man, became the whistleblower. Went to the state, and that began the series of anti-trans laws throughout the state. So now you have about 30 in the United States. And you think about this is all, look at all the issues that you've seen have come, from the 60s on. Civil rights, affirmative action, trans rights, you see them all. And how they get reversed, you look for the perfect victim. You look for someone, or the perfect messenger, like this woman at the WashU Trans Center. That's how, and then you go politically. That's why the political, or the Supreme Court ruling the other day is really hurtful, because the judges said, hey, we're not going to get in the way of Tennessee's law, because it's up to democracy and politics and the people. They're saying, go fight. Go fight. We're not going to get in the way. Go fight. That's terrible. So it happened with it happened with civil rights. Happened with affirmative action. They found the perfect victim, Asian Americans. Every single thing that gets overturned, every single big thing, they find a perfect victim, to offset Roe v. Wade. Then there goes your abortion rights. This is the cycle. We see it happen. We're seeing it again. And when I was reading that about trans rights, I said, oh my God, that's how it happened. They found the perfect messenger. A queer woman married to a trans man speaking out about how the WashU Trans Center was just not, was not good. Wasn't based on good science, wasn't listening to parents. And that's what got the ball rolling. It's sad, but that's what happens when you let your guard down and you think you've got it all, and you don't, because the other side isn't stopping. They're running through the finish line, even though they finished second, and they're going to catch you when you slow down. So what happens? All right, just some thoughts I had today. I had some other thoughts. I'm not going to share them now, but I'm preparing. I'm preparing for Winnipeg, the Winnipeg Fringe. I know, Winnipeg. Not too many people know about Winnipeg. It's in Manitoba. I'm looking forward to it, actually. Manitoba. But I mean, if you're going to visit Canada, right, you got to go in the summertime, not the wintertime. That would be upside down. Go in the summertime. So I'm getting ready for that, doing my one-man show, Emil Amok 69. And then I'm going to bring it to do it in the Marsh in November. The Marsh in San Francisco. Just one night. So come see that. I'll put up tickets and information. But for right now, I'll be appearing at different clubs to just be in front of audiences and doing this. So thank you for being with me. I don't have my regular, I don't have my regular music, and but I have my regular shtick. I'm gonna close with a meditation here in my meditation closet, and so yeah, I hope I think I've been going out there. I think you can hear me. I hope you can. Have to make sure. Well, okay. I'm not going to make sure I'm live on the air. So, I'm using that microphone. Okay. Got it. Hey, it's good to be with you. We meditate. Loving kindness. Kindness goes out to you, comes back twofold, threefold. So as I wish for me, I wish for you. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. And may you live with ease. Yeah, see, this is all meant to be viewed on your phone. See, I put it on the phone screen. But send me an email, say, hey, I kind of didn't like it from your pad. But I remember I was in New York. I talked this way to you guys. Anyway, Emil Guillermo here. Check this out on YouTube. Congratulations to Zoran Mamdani. Think of Mom and Danny. Your mom and Danny together. Mom, Danny, really? And Zoran. He's running, right? I saw some of his TikTok things. Very inventive. I mean, compared to the kind of calcified thing that most Democrats, I mean, the takeaway for Democrats is, wow, there are young people here. People in their 60s and 70s should go away. Okay. I got it. Emil Guillermo here. Till next time. Mahal. Good time.